living world of darkness rage across New York. Tonight, well, it's not quite night yet. It's more like the late afternoon. Um, One young Shadow Lord from the Sept of the Green has decided to take matters into her own hands and do something pretty audacious, all things considered. What are you doing, Zelda?
Zelda is actually probably sitting at some kind of restaurant or coffee shop, probably someplace where she can actually see this building in Lower Manhattan for IES. Um, she sits there, um, basically enjoying this caffeinated beverage, staring at this place. Um, Admittedly, she is nervous, uh, despite despite the way she kind of holds herself, considering her Shadow Lord gifts and all that, specifically Aura of Confidence. She is actually nervous. She's actually um, texting her her alpha, basically letting him know that everything's gonna be okay and that she has this. And she kind of like when she sends that text, she kind of just does this smile of like, "Yep, I'm reassuring myself. I got this. It's okay." Other than this burning itch to sate my curiosity, because that's a bitch. Um, but yeah, she's dressed up decently. Collared shirt and tie, some slacks, and some kind of dress shoe. Uh, but after she's finished with her drink, she politely disposes of the trash and starts making her way towards the entrance for IES.
So, IES is located in an office building. It's one of the more modernized office buildings in southern Manhattan, and that's saying something because southern Manhattan is pretty nice, all things considered. Um, or lower Manhattan is pretty nice, all things considered. And but it takes up um, 2 floors of the building, and so she, you know, goes into the lobby, finely appointed marble, clean white everywhere. The security guard sort of gives her a look as she passes, and then averts his eyes really quickly, and she finds herself in an elevator after finding the directory and makes her way up to the floors upon which IES have their offices. She steps out into a carpeted lobby, super clean, looks like it's steam cleaned every night. Um, and
Jealous.
there's this like as you step out of the elevator bank, there's a hallway that runs, you know, basically perpendicular to the little area where the elevator bank is, and it opens out to either side. And on one side, you just see nothing but um, glass walls with IES emblazoned on one side, and um, yeah, you see people sort of cleaning up for the day, workers and such. Um, it's not quite as busy as you would expect to see it. Some people have left a little early, um, but
Any
yeah.
of these people smell like kinfolk?
Um, I mean, as some pass, some do,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they sort of notice you, but don't really, you know, take notice of you. If that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She, I guess, goes up to whatever, if there's like a receptionist desk or a front desk for this place.
Yeah, right
Um,
as you open up the glass double doors and step into the area, there's a reception desk right there with a receptionist that looks like she's about ready to go. Looks up at you and smiles.
Zelda just says, I apologize, it's rather late. I know people must be getting ready to leave for the evening, but I need to speak with Vasili Kuznetsov.
Her expression falls whenever you say that, and she says, "Can I ask your name?"
You can tell him Zelda Korakova is here to see him. He should know who I am.
Okay, just a moment. And she pages on her phone, and there is a buzz, and she says, "Okay." He cleared up some time. Step right through there. Take a left. There's some stairs. Go to the top. Take a right. All the way down the hall.
Zelda just gives her a nod of appreciation and follows her directions.
So this place is very clean. All the windows looking out. It's basically in the entire floor. Like most skyscrapers, is nothing but windows. And when you climb the stairs and take a left, the hallway itself um, almost seems to sort of loom ahead of you. It's the most closed off part of the entire office that you've been in,
Hmm.
and as you make your way down, it sort of opens out, and there is a reception area for his clearly his personal receptionist.
Hmm.
Um, that is gone, and uh, the door stands open. You're looking right at a wall with a desk as you're coming down the hallway, and there is a door to the left, and there's a bunch of chairs, as if it's some sort of a waiting area. The door itself is open, and you see light sort of filtering out from within.
She walks through the door. She knocks first and then walks through the door. Um, Depending on whether how the desk is arranged, uh, to whether he could see her as she walks in.
Yeah, the desk is um, not unlike this picture here, right? You're coming in, and there's like a couch sort of in front of you, um, and the desk itself is facing the door, and there's a man sitting at the desk, one that you recognize from the video you received not too long ago,
Hmm.
and he is typing at his computer and um, doesn't look up when you enter, and he says, "Please make yourself comfortable."
She she looks around his office. She really doesn't expect much different, much of a difference from like the level of aesthetic and like the cleanliness of it all. It seems to be a pretty tightly run ship. But either way, she looks around and goes to take a seat. take a seat, and gets herself comfortable.
So after basically a minute or so of him typing away, he pulls away from the computer and sort of turns his chair to face you. He leans back. He says, "Ah, Miss Kodorkova, what an unanticipated surprise."
She tilts her head and gives a small smile, um, confident smile, and she just says, "Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to see me. I wanted to come by and maybe ask you some questions if you didn't mind, if you wouldn't mind indulging me, that is."
It's a bit presumptuous of you, but I am intrigued.
Well, after receiving such a very um, well put together little introduction and
Oh, you
intro,
like that, did you?
it reminded me of home. I've only been in New York for a short amount of time, and the the way you present yourself brings upon a little bit of nostalgia.
Home, you say? Let me see if I can place that accent. Ukrainian.
She nods. Kiev, to be more exact, but yes.
Hmm. Well, how has the land of the free been treating you then?
Hmm. I can't really complain, to be honest with you. Not that complaining would do any good. It would only waste everybody's time, but it gets along well enough. It has its upsides and its flaws just the same as anything or anybody else.
Well, I am sorry that you had to come at such a auspicious time for your new adopted family. I mean,
Yeah, well, things are the way they are. I'd hmm,
oh, that's somebody who's been crushed by fate, destiny. I don't think that's you. Doesn't look like you,
hmm.
accepting that so passively.
Some things are above our control.
No, not many things are above our control.
For now, in my position, yes. But that will change in time. As with all things, everything changes as the seasons do. Eventually, I'll return home. Or at least I hope so. She smiles.
I like your optimism.
So, I'm pretty sure um, you are in the know about SEP's current position as far as yeah, its current status. Unfortunately, Mother Larissa has absconded.
What? He sort of like gives this really exaggerated, shocked look, puts his hand over his mouth. Say it isn't so.
I'm not surprised. Uh, that's one of the reasons why I came here, because I figured if anybody knew where Mother Larissa actually went, it would probably be you, considering that you seem to know everybody else on the sept, and you seem to have either some kind of mole or other means to keep track of all of us and know who our kinfolk are and where everybody lives. Well, I figured you would be the man to ask.
He smirks. I can see that you have the beginnings of an inquisitive mind. You and Iron Eyes might be kindred spirits. Trust me, uh, Mother Larissa is not running from me.
Well, she's certainly not. She is certainly not at the sept. So where is she? She needs to answer for some things, bring some answers to the table that would help the rest of us, and she is not here. And she seems to see that. She seems to say that with like growing disdain, kind of like derision, like, like a leader that's failing.
She does have a great many things to answer for. You're not wrong there. However, I do stand by what I said. It is not a story for me to tell.
So you leave it to the other side to tell your whole story, to tell it the way they would see it, and not have the other side spoken for from you. You would just rather us take their word for it. She's ran off. Why would we believe anything she says now?
Because she has been your dutiful and loving and caring and guiding Alpha for the past 29 years, 7 months, 3 days, 6 hours, 25 minutes, and 13 seconds.
The past few days of that, she hasn't been here. She's failing. So please, let me hear your side of it.
I think not. After all, we have plenty of time to get to know each other a little better. Why rush?
Well, considering the fact that, well, we only have what, maybe less than 12 hours or so to sacrifice an elder?
You think they're actually going to do that? I hope you're not that foolish.
No, they're not.
Well, then why would you ask such a silly question?
Because I need to know personally. Curiosity is a bitch. It itches, and I must
Mm,
scratch it. So that's why I'm here.
well, since you already know that they're not going to stoop so low as to sacrifice an elder, I am much more interested in what you are going to do about your friend that I have. I wish I could say that she is comfortable. Silver, unfortunately, is not very comfortable, but Garu are notoriously difficult to chain down.
Hmm. Is she here?
Oh no, no, she's not here.
Shame. Unfortunately, I don't know what the plan is for that yet. There has not been there has not been much of a decision made on that front. Some have said some things, but they have no power to make those decisions happen.
Well, needless to say, I am quite interested in getting back my things. Your friends made quite a mess trying to stick it to me for the first time. Strike back in this war, as it were.
Well, they seem to have made way with the fuel that you had. I see that at least sticking it to you has gotten enough under your skin that you seem to want it back, at least from what I can tell, almost pretty badly.
Mm, quite badly. I guess the question is, how badly do you want your friend back? Seeing as how they are not willing to sacrifice one of their elders, I wonder if they are willing to sacrifice my leverage.
Hmm. I know what I would do, but I cannot say for them.
Well, you're a Shadow Lord. You would make the correct decision, I'm sure. Despite, I'm sure, all of the indoctrination beginning to infuse you at the moment.
Hmm. No,
No?
I tend to be the black sheep of the sept.
You may one day end up Ronin like me. Wouldn't that be ironic? I did nothing more than what the good Shadow Lord will do. In fact, the Shadow Lords, well, they were the first to drop me too.
The Shadow Lords dropped you as well.
Oh, yes.
What exactly did you do?
All in time. All in time. Be patient. He seems to know that it bugs you.
uh, so which came first? Mother Larissa making you Ronin, or the Shadow Lords dropping you?
Whoa, those happened at the same time.
Hmm. But did they have a official delegation come and see you off?
That wasn't worth their time.
Hmm.
I was
Sure.
dumped with a phone call.
Interesting. That is awfully pragmatic. And a little sad.
Well, such is the way of things.
Oh man, I almost want to use this stupid GIF. Oh, I almost want to use this stupid GIF.
Do it.
I'm gonna do it. I would use Fatal Flaw on him. I know it's not combat, so I just want to just kind of like size him up, so to speak. If that's okay.
Using things. Using things. Look at the thing.
see what other things I have. Ah, damn, I always forget I have fucking persuasion. Activate that too.
Go ahead and roll it.
I need to bring up I didn't bring up my stupid book either. Persuasion is charisma subterfuge difficulty 7. Charisma 4 subterfuge. Alright. Dice roller. And what did you name the scene?
First contact.
Alright, well I got 3 successes for persuasion. And then, what do I do for... It's under tribal gifts. Fatal flaw. The Shadow Lord concentrates for one full turn, then player rolls perception empathy difficulty equal to the target's wit subterfuge. Additional successes grants the guard extra dice of damage during combat. With the target, additional successes grant knowledge of further weaknesses, but not more dice. So, what is it? Perception, empathy. 3, so 5. Womp, 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 womp. Oh no. She got no successes. I'm assuming. Because I don't even know what is the difficulty. I'm assuming it's probably it's not higher. Well, either way, it's 6. Like she didn't get any successes. So, though if you would allow me, I'd like to try again because she would probably try to use this multiple times if she can, especially if she knows it didn't like go off. I don't know if we can tell if that happens or not.
Let me see. Go on using gifts. Okay, go ahead and roll again.
Okay.
Diff is higher.
Okay. 9. So
No
I probably don't get
successes.
any. All right.
So after like a moment of you just sort of sitting there and staring intently, he says, I think you can cut that out now.
It's a habit.
It's a poor habit. especially considering the hospitality I'm showing you right now.
Mm, true. I apologize.
Doesn't sound very sincere to me, but I suppose it's the best I'm going to get.
I am really, truly sorry.
Hmm.
Man, I have to say, like, I was hoping that we could really like connect on certain things. Like, you have this really interesting air about you, and I just had to kind of see it for myself, you know? You, like I said, you reminded me at home, and I'm just so confused about like if you are this if you are this into what you're doing and you believe it so much, why would you leave your story left to somebody for somebody else to tell? Like why would you not at least at one point a fellow Shadow Lord to know what the fuck you went through and get the true story out? Like I just don't understand. Like you can tell me. At least I would think so.
You will see in time, and you'll know why. Would you like to see your friend?
You said she's not here. What are you going to show me on camera?
Well, I mean, we could take a ride if you wish.
Sure. I don't mind.
He smirks. The amount of trust you show is startling.
Hmm. Oh, it's not trust. Like I said, curiosity.
Foolishness?
They say curiosity kills the cat, so if that is foolishness, then I'm guilty as charged.
Hmm. Very well then. After you.
She gets up and waits by the door.
He pushes his chair back and gets up and makes his way um, to the door and gestures for her to leave first.
Yeah, he or she steps out and just kind of waits.
He's going to walk behind her. There's no situation where he is going to
Okay,
move in front of her.
gotcha. So she walks, but she kind of walks in a way that she can kind of keep him in her peripheral, as much as it would probably not really help. But um, she follows along or goes wherever she's directed.
Yeah, so he leads you out, and you to take an elevator all the way down to the parking garage.
Hmm.
And whenever you step off the elevator, um, a couple of guys standing next to a SUV sort of get up from what they were doing, and they act more professionally, not quite like militarily, but there's a level of respect there. And whenever they see you, you can see them tense, and you just see out of the corner of your eye Vasily hold up a hand as if to call them off. And he gestures for one to get the door, and he gestures for you to get in.
Do these people smell like kinfolk or Garo?
They do. And funny enough, you notice that there is zero pure breed coming off of Vasily,
Okay.
but they smell pretty heavily of Shadow Lord.
Not uncommon, honestly, for Shadow Lords. Um. So yeah, she gets in the car.
So it's one of these like SUVs that's sort of set up in a way that there are seats facing each other
Mm-hmm.
in the back,
Mm-hmm.
and Vasily moves to take a seat across from you, whichever way you decide to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And but before he does, he mutters something to one of the kinfolk, um, conveniently before you've activated whisper catching.
Gosh
And
darn it, I forgot. But I'm gonna activate it now after this.
and then climbs in to sit opposite of you.
Think I gotta spend a willpower for that, so consider it done now.
And the kinfolk get into the driver and passenger seat. Um, you can tell that they were armed with small arms.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the vehicle starts up and pulls out, and Vasily sort of unbuttons his coat and just sort of breathes a sigh and says, "Oh, good to be off of work. So many things to do."
I'm surprised you're a man that likes to keep a schedule, but
We are all slaves to something. A schedule is not the worst.
hmm. She she kind of just like puts her elbow up on the seal of the window, kind of like balls her fist up and kind of like just presses her chin to rest up against like the folded knuckles of her hand, and she just says, "So, uh, the the nuclear fuel. What what do you plan to do with all of that?"
I plan to make energy. You have at least Googled my company, have you not?
I did. It's just the quantity of it just seems not what I expected for uh, an organization sort of as yours.
In what way?
I just didn't think it'd be so compact in that sense.
Oh, you can do great things with very little.
What about the technology that goes with it?
What about it?
What is it?
It is a means to convert energy. Nuclear energy comes out as fission, as heat.
He busts out the tiles.
Mhm.
uh, sorry, I was thinking of fucking that stupid show. Anyways, um,
It also creates a lot of waste. and I am not looking to create a lot of waste. We are, after all, a clean energy company. However, strict regulations in the United States mean that I have to sometimes go off the grid.
Hmm.
I am trying to create fusion.
That would certainly be an achievement, I would assume. That would definitely put you up there as one of the top energy companies in the world if you were to achieve such a thing.
Oh, it would. We would be the Edison of the time.
Hmm.
I see the wheels turning in your mind. You're trying to figure out exactly if I'm telling the truth or if I'm lying.
Hmm. Everything anybody says must always be weighed. Isn't that not the Shadow Lord way?
Some would say so. Some would say so. Personally, I find it to be pretty exhausting.
So, speaking of keeping one's word or whatnot, or telling the truth, how are we supposed to know whether you'll keep your word and leave the rest of the sept alone if we off one of the elders?
I suppose you don't. I guess you would have to call it a leap of faith.
We don't deal with leaps of faith.
Perhaps you don't. It's very hard for me to pinky promise you and hope that that's sufficient.
Hmm. Well, if you were intending to leave, hmm, I suppose a significant withdrawal of you and your assets and everything from New York would be a good step forward.
Oh, I'm not leaving New York.
Hmm.
However, if by some miracle or by some very enterprising Garu in your set decided to actually take the plunge, well, it would show me that there are some of you who would, probably you among the newer generation, would be willing to do what needs to be done in order to obtain peace. It's a
What
hard decision. It's not the glorious one.
what piece are you talking about?
Peace from me. I was not kidding when I declared war.
But that doesn't mean all that does is significantly weaken us in case you decided not to honor that.
It very much does, yes.
Hmm. Truth be told, I don't think you would follow through. You seem very adamant following through with your retribution.
Well, if there was anyone in the Sept of the Green that I would hope could see the values of a very long time Shadow Lord. I would have thought it was you. Things are not always as they seem.
Which is exactly why some kind of backing or proof or whatever is all the more important.
There can be no proof. What proof would you have me give?
Obviously, I'm not going to get that now, I'm just saying.
That sounds like a very hasty retreat from your earlier position.
Mm,
Perhaps you had not thought it all the way through. Don't worry, I will give you a moment. Compose yourself. Oh, so stern. No cracks in that emotional armor.
Hmm. She uh she kind of narrows her eyes for a moment and looks away. She does look rather annoyed.
Don't worry, I've been doing this for 40 years. You should not beat yourself up over it.
Hmm. So what happened to your pack? Do they still live today? Can I know that much at all?
Oh, I
You
told you.
mentioned.
They're all dead.
Oh, ah, shit, you did say that. Hmm.
But their kinfolk do their memories proud.
Seems to be quite a bit of kinfolk. Were you a pack of nothing but Shadow Lords?
Not necessarily. There were others. The Shadow Lords are the most zealous, though.
Hmm.
As well they should be.
What are the other kinfolk? You let them free, or did they join your cause as well?
Let them free. I have no control over them. They believe in the cause.
Hmm.
They've been training for 30 years for it. Generational, even. Fathers training sons
Hmm.
and daughters. As I said, my kinfolk are empowered. My adopted family. I have taken care of them, provided them with training and means. Oh, trust me, they are more than a match for, well, any of you. But it needn't be that way. See, you are taking this as a threat. It's not a threat. It is merely a deterrent.
What, the situation or your kinfolk?
My kinfolk, the situation, my information that I have on all of you. It's merely a deterrent. I have no grudge against you specifically. That much should be clear.
Hmm.
Unless you stand in my way, in which case, as much as I hate to spill the blood of young Garu such as yourself, well, I will do what I must.
Hmm. Old habits die hard, I suppose.
Whose habits?
Our habits. She means like Shadow Lord habits. That's yeah. So where are we going?
We're moving out of the city. Don't worry, it's not far.
She she cuts her eyes away from him, not in like any kind of derisive manner or anything. It's just more like I'm just gonna look outside for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's probably as quiet as she's been since she's like was staring at him in his office.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
Don't worry, my friend. I despite your demeanor, I can't imagine that this is a comfortable ride. Again, you are under my hospitality. I am in no way going to besmirch that tradition among Shadow Lords.
Considering everything I've seen so far, I didn't think you were, but your reassurance is comforting. And she doesn't say that like she means it, but like at least the comforting part, like she is just kind of like acknowledging like yeah, uh-huh. Like like she believes him, but like she's just like, you know, she's young and whatever.
So after an uncomfortable, 45-minute car ride, mostly through traffic in New York, it's not like they got out on the highway and spent 45 minutes driving into the wilderness. But um, once they get out of New York proper and into New York State,
Hmm.
um, they eventually make their way towards a small industrial complex, just like right around the outskirts of Yonkers.
Hmm.
And the SUV pulls in into this gated compound of warehouses, and the gate does roll closed behind it, but it looks automated and not like it's a decision that somebody made. And the kinfolk hop out and open both doors on either side. And Vasily says, "After you,"
Yeah, she slides out.
and he does as well. Welcome to my holding cell, so to speak, of problematic things.
Hmm. Your own gulag. Gotcha.
Yes, that's a apt comparison from home. Although it's not quite as dismal.
Oh, I'm sure. Our
American urban decay beats Russian urban decay any day of the week.
hmm, I guess we'll see.
Although I must imagine that both are better than Ukrainian urban decay.
Oh, ouch.
He opens a door. It's a kind of a nondescript steel door on one of the buildings with a "Do Not Trespass" sign on it.
She goes through the fucking door.
So you enter into this warehouse. It's actually the one that you saw in the video that he made.
Uh huh.
Um, off to the side, as you guys are making your way in, the clacks of his dress shoes against the concrete floor sort of echo out. There are some people around, and they are some very well armed kinfolk, and wearing Kevlar, like the full thing. Like it looks like they are some serious guards. Um,
Like how many?
uh, in this building at this moment, you see maybe about seven.
Mm-hmm.
One of them approaches the two of you. It is this gentleman,
Okay.
and he stops just before the both of you and sort of gives you this like up and down skeptical look. And Vasily just sort of chuckles and says, "It's all right, Robin. It's all right."
Yeah, it's okay, Robin.
We're here to see the prisoner. He nods and sort of looks at you with this sort of lingering, like, narrow-eyed look, and turns and makes his way further into the warehouse, basically leaving an opening for the two of you to follow. And he says, this one has been very pliant. Hasn't really made a lot of noise. Haven't gotten anything from her. As expected." "Oh, I expected that. She's quite the charmer. I actually do like her quite a bit," he says to Zelda.
Hmm. Why? Because she's compliant.
"No, no, not at all. She's a fighter."
Hmm. As she should be.
And so, like, you sort of round this corner, and there is um, like, compared to the rest of the warehouse, there is a very modern looking, like, sleek plexiglass sort of plastic chamber that's just sort of been set up here with like an air vent in it, sort of obviously ventilating it, but it's locked closed. There's a padlock on the door, and you see fire in the hole, um, just sort of like completely bedecked in silver bindings, blindfolded, and he Vasily sort of walks over and thumps on the plexiglass, and she makes an audible like motion as if she hears it, but he says, "This is soundproof, so she won't know you're here, unfortunately. But I hope that this is proof enough that I don't hold a grudge against all of you. Put it that way.
Hmm.
Proof of my goodwill."
Am I allowed to go in and talk to her?
Hmm. No, I think not. Mainly because MA is not here. But
Fair enough. Is there anything else, like there's anybody else here, or?
you don't see any workers, just these armed individuals sort of standing around.
Hmm.
And they're all watching you very intently.
That's fair. Well, good to know that she's still alive and literally in the looks like the condition that she was taken in.
She is bandaged, but the bandages are like bloody and freshly bloody,
Hmm.
as if her wounds aren't healing.
Hmm.
So,
She looks at him.
seeing as how I have given you this token of my goodwill, assured you of my Shadow Lord hospitality, I do hope that you will take that to your comrades and bring me my things for her sake.
Hmm.
Perhaps you don't care about her, but surely they do.
Hmm.
And trust me, there will be, well, unfortunate consequences if they are not returned to me forthwith. Now, as an added bit of goodwill, I'll let you in on a little secret, just between you and me. Although what you choose to do with that secret, well, it's up to you.
She she kind of like looks and like stares at fire in the hole. Like she kind of like just tilts her ear like towards him, letting her know or letting him know that like basically he has her attention.
That Korax that was murdered, that was so buddy buddy with everyone, was working for me. That's how I know all of you. So very well.
The peddler.
Oh, is that what she was calling herself?
Then what was her real name?
Truth be told, I've forgotten at this point. Another mark in the ledger.
Hmm.
That's not what she called herself, anyway. It wasn't truthful, so it doesn't really matter what she called herself.
How did she come into your illustrious care?
I had something that she wanted.
I hope it wasn't something shiny.
Oh no. Well, I suppose in the right light, it could be.
Hmm. What was it?
It wasn't very pleasant, put it that way.
Not much is. I mean, she's dead. What does it matter? I think you can tell me now.
Well, see, Koraks are very useful allies, but sometimes they're a little flighty. So, in order to properly incentivize her to be compliant, well, I may or may not have taken her family.
Hmm. And what does happen to her family now?
I had no more use for them. I let them go. They never saw or met me.
Hmm. Interesting. I'm surprised they kept something like that quiet. They tend to
Oh, they're
remember.
terrified. Fear is a great motivator for silence.
Hmm.
And rightfully so. If they were to become a problem, well, my adopted family was more than capable of silencing some crows.
Hmm. It's not exactly hard.
No. But now you know.
By the way, who made that Talon? The one with the
Oh,
rather
that one. That was my favorite. It was really cool, wasn't it?
it almost killed me.
Ah, well, you know.
That was all you?
Hmm. I had help.
Hmm.
Although I must say, I am very accomplished at making Thalens.
I suppose if a Garo lives long enough, one would be able to.
I've had a lot to practice.
Hmm. Considering what 40 plus years, yeah, I would say so. That's more than the average length of a Garo's life. Well, hmm, no, I think I've seen all I want to see here.
Oh, you're
Unless,
through with
unless you,
me, are you?
unless you're gonna give me a tour of the place, show me
Oh,
what
there's
else bothers you or causes you trouble.
there's not much to see here, and we're only just beginning to truly get to know each other face to face.
Well, you know where I live, presumably. You know where I work. Mm,
The entire time that you're saying these things, he's sort of bobbing his head. And when, like you say, you know where I work, his eyes just sort of, like his eyebrows just sort of like raise up, and he nods. Yes.
mhm. Well, if you want to do this again, let me know.
Hmm.
Who knows? We have some time, I suppose.
Probably not as much as you think.
Probably not, but mm, she shrugs. By the
Well,
way, mind if I have a souvenir?
what sort of souvenir?
Maybe like a clip of silver.
No, I think not.
Aw, I had to ask. You are rolling pretty deep in it, and the sept is pretty stingy.
Well, there are perks to being on my side, as it were.
I see.
Come now, let's take you home. You've had a big day.
uh, she she just stands like a few seconds longer staring at fire in the hole and kind of just shoves her hands in her pockets. I mean, she looks pretty calm and collected. Like she looks like she belongs amongst these people, even though internally like she fucking knows better. Um, yeah, she eventually just quietly I guess starts walking ahead and I guess waiting until she gets to like the next like door and just waits for them to kind of be like, yeah, that one or whatever.
Yeah, they basically just lead you out the way that you came in, and Vasily just sort of stands off to the side and says, "My men will take you home."
Hmm. She looks at him and then looks at them. Hey, Robin, I like Robin.
No,
Oh,
he's busy.
I see. Okay. I guess.
Oh, you sound so crestfallen.
Hmm. Maybe a little. Well then.
Remember, there is a right now. There's a lot of goodwill coming from me.
I'll
I
make
do
sure.
hope. I do hope that that is relayed, and you approach this trade with good faith. If you don't, if you don't show up, I will be forced to look elsewhere for my product,
Hmm.
and I will then cease to have no more goodwill for your friend in there. But you knew that already.
I did.
If you show up with a water party, well, I do hope you are ready for blood.
I mean, when they show up for a war party, I mean, that's pretty much the point, my friend. But I will make sure I relay your hospitality to the rest of the set.
Good. I hope that means something to you. Otherwise, next time you walk into my office, after blatantly disregarding my hospitality, it might not end the same way.
Hmm. She nods. Understood.
Goodbye, Zelda.
She says farewell.
And so you climb into the SUV, and the doors are closed, and the kinfolk climb into the front, which is separated by glass, sort of like a limo, but more like a normal vehicle. And you begin, the vehicle pulls out, and you just see him sort of standing there looking at you with his jacket sort of draped on his shoulders, like in the overlay,
Hmm.
looking very thoughtful. And with that, Zelda does make it home safely and is dropped off. And with that, unless there's something else, I think we can end the scene.
Nope, that's it.
Thank you, players, for playing, watchers for watching. Good night.